International dubs and even adaptations of shows are a very specific niche within a lot of fandoms, especially for Western cartoons. While most of our experience with that kind of thing here in the West is with anime, there are a lot of cartoons from over here that have their own histories of translations in other languages. Like, listen buddy, you can get into all the specifics of the 100 million English Dragon Ball dubs, or the unconfirmed Albanian dub of South Park, but I'm here for ponies, and that's what we're going to talk about today. MLP is a global brand. In the 80s it might have been popular in North America, Europe, and some other territories, but with the state of the world, Hasbro is able to have ponies invade pretty much anywhere on the planet. Let's see how our favorite horses got translated into other cultures, with all the changes, censorship, and other little trinkets and treasures to be beheld. Dubs of My Little Pony's earlier generations exist and are mostly readily available online. A YouTube search of My Little Pony G1 German or My Little Pony G1 Portuguese surprisingly won't make the English YouTube algorithm too happy and will just bring up promoted official Hasbro content in English. So Google Translate might end up being your best friend in finding clips. The dubs are like what you'd expect. Most of them just re-record the original. Different dubs vary from country to country, of course, and as for the intros, it's what you'd expect. Most of them just re-record the original, but the French and Italian dubs have their own unique theme song. The best part of going down this rabbit hole was seeing all the unique stuff they make for these. There's a video by fellow YouTuber Pat Mac about international versions of theme songs that kinda sent me down this rabbit hole, and in that, he goes into how the Italian versions of cartoon intros usually go super hard for no reason. You know, give me the aux chord and expect me to be bumping it to Vola Mio Mini Pony. My Little Ponytails also used that same song from when they had their Italian dub, and I'm assuming it's by the same studio. And for the rest of the world with My Little Ponytails, it's the same situation, where they're just redubbing it. But I know that's what you guys aren't here for. No, we gotta talk about Friendship is Magic. There's an abundance of information about all the G4 dubs, way more than I could immediately find with the others. Also, there was nothing for G3, so G3 fans, I'm really sorry. Being the version of MLP with the largest online following, there's no doubt that you'd be able to dig up some juicy info. I've got information from a few wikis, as well as MLP forums, which have held a few MLP in foreign language threads over the years. Disclaimer though, a lot of this information is coming from Fandom Wiki, aka my arch nemesis. Thankfully, there are a lot of legit citations on stuff like the dubbing database, but anything that doesn't have one could be complete hearsay. You know, I feel sorry for people who use Fandom Wiki now, who actually want to host legitimate information. They have to be on the same hosting site as the Super Nanny Fanon Wiki. A lot of the G4 dubs, from what I found, seem to switch between different channels throughout their air date. It's usually either a similar situation to the Hub, rebranding to Discovery Family, or what I'm guessing is changing hands between overseas distribution companies. Like, remember when Pokemon aired on Disney XD? Yeah, dark times. Some dubs people really like and some not so much. The Latin American Spanish dub is notable for having some pretty high-profile VAs working on it. Melissa Gideon, who plays Pinkie Pie in that dub, is loved by a lot of people for how much she's able to match the original.
¡Tonterías! ¿Qué clase de fiesta sería en silencio? ¡Te lo diré! ¡Aburrida!
One thing I thought was really funny about this dub in particular was in the episode Pinkie Pride. There's a part in the English original where Pinkie Pie sings a bit in Spanish. You know, most cartoons would change this kind of thing up. A pony example being in the French dub of the Cutie Pox, where they changed the part where Apple Bloom speaks French. Instead, she just speaks in like medieval French. So the line "speaking fancy" that Applejack says makes sense, because, you know, it's not unusual in the French dub for Apple Bloom to start speaking French. So what do they do here? They just don't change the lyrics, it's still Spanish. Yeah, that's it. This is going on the Horrible Dubs wiki. Actually, I was just informed that the bit she sings is a song that people sing when trying to hit a piñata. The original being Spanish, so it makes sense. It's a reference that works in the original and the dub version. Segue! The first out of the two Croatian dubs for MLP is infamous for its supposed low quality. While watching most of the international versions of MLP for this, I couldn't find too much of an issue with the individual voices, mostly because I don't understand all the specific inflections and how they translate. But this is genuinely a bad dub from the editing alone.
Ja nemam veze s ovime.
A što će nam to?
There's this video that combines a bunch of weird wonky moments that you can find from said wiki. The way this guy's laying into it here, you'd think this video came out in like 2013, during the reign of the angry YouTube reviewer, but no, this was in 2019. People still had this much hatred in their heart for My Little Pony Croatia dub. In the Brazilian Portuguese dub, the voices for Spitfire and Rainbow Dash sound way too masculine for some people.
Os Wonderbolts! Eles vão se apresentar na celebração de amanhã e eu vou mostrar pra eles o meu estilo.
Usu Wonderbolts?
To the point where I found a few forum posts claiming that they just made them guys. In the Hungarian dub, there were female characters that they made males, like Derpy or Babs Seed in their first appearance. I've been looking up a lot on the MLP forums, and it seems there's always a vocal chunk of native speakers of each given language who aren't too big a fan of that specific MLP dub. Again, me as someone who only knows English, seeing these I don't hear any big issues. I'm just out here assuming that they sound the exact same, when these people are most likely having the experience of an English speaker watching a bad anime dub.
If he wants to learn how to make my product, he's gotta do it my way! The right way! I speak English.
But another part of international dubbing is how close the foreign versions will stick to the script of the original. Some, like the Latin American dub, are close, but in any version of a given dub, there are going to be changes, either for time or to accommodate the different language or cultural ideals. The biggest change in an international dub or translation is usually changing the characters' names. Different countries have different ways of dealing with this. In Japanese, most character names are transliterated, meaning they just pronounce them how they are in America, while in other countries they could do something vaguely similar or just completely different. The Hebrew dub translates the characters' names, but simplifies them a bit. Instead of Fluttershy, she's just Shy in Hebrew. Applejack's name in this dub apparently translates to good fruit. Well, good for her. The Chinese names for all the characters are pretty unique, one example being Celestia being called Princess Universe. Names for groups of characters and locations are also different. In Korean, the Grand Galloping Gala is called the New Year's Grand Pony Festival, for example. Censorship is also a thing that varies from country to country, probably what some of you clicked on this video to hear about. I don't know, but to me, there's always something a little scandalous about which countries cut stuff out. The biggest and most universal example, and probably what some of you know about, is how the word cider is censored. In most countries, cider is an alcoholic beverage, similar to what we call hard cider in the US. So obviously in places where that's the case, they gotta censor it. They can't have ponies drinking alcohol.
Pivo! Super! To će fino smekšati grickalice.
Apple juice, apple extract, apple syrup, compote. In the Hungarian dub of the episode Heart's Warming Tale, they call it boiled wine, which is a common drink during the holiday season over there. There are even episodes like the Super Speedy Cider Squeezy that don't even air in some countries. Something not as harsh is the censorship of words like stupid or fool. These are usually edited out in some dubs, like the Latin American dub, where they're replaced with tonto, which from what I gathered, is a lighter version meaning silly or foolish. In Canada, they just mute whenever characters say stuff like that. In Party of One, for example, the word loser is just edited out, which leads you to think of way worse things they could be saying.
So bad! Police! They're a bunch of...
Oh, come on now. Might be a little strong, don't you think?
In the Middle East, there's a few large things that are changed due to cultural differences. The show is uncensored on YouTube and a few streaming services, but there were a number of changes made to it when it first aired on Cartoon Network Arabic, or the Middle Eastern channel Spacetoon, according to the wiki. References to characters' relationships are removed in some instances, most infamously in the episode Green Isn't Your Color, where they cut out Spike admitting he has a crush on Rarity, but they still keep in all the other scenes in the episode where Twilight is meant to keep it a secret, so I guess they just took it a step further and made it secret in real life. There are also reportedly multiple scenes where Twilight's cutie mark and other similar symbols are censored or edited, due to looking like a Star of David, which could be seen as a religious reference. Some versions of MLP actually include harsher language compared to the original. According to a user on MLP forums, there are parts in the German dub where swear word replacements are translated as something actually vulgar, or a little more harsh.
Are you kidding me?
In the Polish dub, characters reference taking people's lives.
Koszmarna luna nie zna litości. Zjada kucyki, wypluwa kości.
Odebrała jej głos i teraz spokojnie obedrze ją ze skóry! Kończy twoją powieść? Moja jest o Pegazie, który lata jak szatan i zostaje kapitanem Wonderbolts.
And there's an infamous screenshot from the Japanese dub that says this.
普段はタルタロスの門番をしているの。ここにいるってことは地獄の魔物が逃げて。トワイライト、ケルベロスは？バッチリよ。魔物が地獄から逃げる前に送り届けた。
Speaking of the Japanese dub, there's one big addition to the show that doesn't get talked about that often, that being Little Pony TV. Yes, this is real. At the end of each episode, you'd have a segment with Twilight and real-life singer and voice actress Suzuko Momori. Segments range from interviews about Equestria, the different ponies that live there, to Twilight teaching English words to the audience. I think it's really cute, and they even end it with the Lucky Pony slot machine every episode, which does nothing but choose a random character. I can't imagine growing up with this version of MLP, and then finding out that there's nothing really like this in any other territories. The Japanese dub actually has a lot of work put into it. There are some objectionable changes, like each episode having bits cut for time, but there are enough extra flourishes that make it stick out, including the theme song. The Japanese dub of FIM has 6 original songs made for it, between the various intros and outros. The first intro, Mirai Start, was sung by the same actress from Little Pony TV, who also voices Pinkie Pie. It's really fun, and yeah, I know, sounds like any other anime intro. Some of the later ones make their own graphics, and that too is fun to see. The energy of these songs are so good that when I'm watching them, I don't even think the show can keep up with it. Listening to them, I feel like there should be explosions and characters running around and standing on cliffs triumphantly in the background, but you know, I guess not. 2011 Flash animation will have to do. As always, Italy is pulling through with their own original intro. This one is great. It's legendary. It has a lot more emotion put into it than like any other version for some reason. And they even have the main line of the Italian one be Fly My Little Pony. Like the 80s one, Vola mio mini pony, Fly My Little Pony. It's so cool. Other countries will just redub the intro, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think the Arabic one sounds really cool, and the others do their job nicely. A lot of these I had a great time watching, not just the intros or whatever, but the dubs themselves. The voices in the German dub I thought were really nice. Spanish, Finnish, Arabic too. With that, I can't really just talk about dubs. Pony products of all kinds are released around the world that we don't get over here. Keeping with Japan getting expanded pony lore, the girls' magazine Puchigumi would serialize a My Little Pony manga from 2013 to 2014. It's really cute, and there are translations floating around out there. I just found them on Derpyburu. I was gonna make some sort of joke about that site, but I realized that it automatically puts you in safe mode if you don't log in. Ain't that a relief? Yeah, from what I read, the 2013 manga is fun. Don't expect any grand stories or characterization most of the time. These are just short comic strip style stories. But the art style is really, really cute, again. So many people I've seen on like that uwu core side of the fandom have these as their profile pics. There's also the 2019 manga, but that's made by an American company, so I don't really know if I'm able to talk about it here. Now, My Little Pony is pretty big in China, even to this day where Hasbro is still putting out G4 merchandise, and even a Chinese exclusive CGI hologram live show, which features MLP characters interacting with some new original characters in a story based around Chinese history. A summary from an MLP fan site over there reads, "The story takes the Tang Dynasty as the background of China, and revolves around the main location of Daming Palace. Our M6, Spike, and Grandpa Chinese Dragon Disorderly to retrieve the lost harmonic essence, using magic notes to travel from Xiaoma Town, Ponyville, to the prosperous Tang Dynasty of China with the new original character, Tang Bao. Participated in the Shangyuan Festival of the Ming Palace together. In the Daming Palace, he met Tang Taizong, Wu Zetian, Taiping Princess, Tang Minghuang, Yang Guifei, Li Bai, and other Chinese historical celebrities. Don't ask me why these people can get together, says the website author. While helping them solve problems, they find harmony and become witnesses of history." Okay, some of that might have gotten lost in translation, but from what I gather, it would have been about the ponies going to historical China to find the elements of harmony, I think, and they learn about history in the process. This horse character is Tang Bao, and the others are still unknown. I'm not sure if there's a full recording of this out there. The only video of this specific show, I'm assuming, is an 8-second demo of the technology. There's no full recording of it, let alone with English subtitles, so I'm gonna consider it lost media. According to a website I found, there was another My Little Pony projection show earlier on, in 2021, that was part of some sort of family carnival. It was actually adapted from the IDW comics, of all things, Micro Series issue 2. So, if you want to see the classic MLP comic characters Big Boy and Runt projected in 3D, here's your chance. There's barely any information about these, and most of what I found I had to translate through Safari. Now besides the projections, live shows featuring mascot costumes can be found all around the world. Singapore, Dubai, Indonesia, they all mostly have unique sets too, which is fun, but a lot of these are just put out in malls. China would have an actual stage show. Obviously better sets and costumes, incorporating some live human actors as stagehands and not just the mascot suits. Also, Queen Chrysalis and the Changelings would have shown up. These pictures and clips do a better job at explaining this experience than Google Translate ever could have done. It doesn't look like MLP's exposure to the Chinese market will be stopping anytime soon. Aside from the surprising growth of the Brony fandom over there, there's been a few other exclusive pony experiences, like a pony play place or an art exhibition for the brand's 40th anniversary. There's even been rumblings about a Hasbro-themed hotel with My Little Pony-themed suites and areas. Pfft, goodbye, Mom! Of course, MLP experiences exist outside of that. Multiple events have been held in Singapore, including a pop-up cafe with Pony Life branding. Remember Pony Life? I remember Pony Life. Special pony-themed events can be found in Thailand, the Philippines, or something closer to the States is Hasbro City, which just recently opened in Mexico, like just as I write this. The Indoor Entertainment Center features rides and other attractions based around MLP. Of course, you can't forget international fast food tie-ins. China has had their own exclusive McDonald's toys, and Hasbro would later partner with KFC in Indonesia for a G5 tie-in. There's also stuff like the Bishoujo figures, which I always associate with the manga, but those are actually produced by a Japanese statue company, so it counts. Seeing how your favorite characters and brands are treated in other countries is really neat. Listen, I'll take any censoring in the overseas dubs, as long as I get to have my My Little Pony themed experience, which I'll probably never get to see. Now, is there anything I missed here? Dubs, translations, or otherwise? If you're in a country besides the US or Canada, how's the MLP brand treated over there? Like, I'd really like to know. I'm sure there is a lot of stuff I missed, and there's probably going to be a big pinned comment with a lot of it. Before we sign off, I just want to give a special shout out to my fans on Patreon. Hoodie, The Fox's Raven, Nana, Jesse Ball, I've Got Frostbite, Kaylee Lahota, Rosa, Grimmenberg, Shadewalker, Knife Girl, The Blazing Pegasus, Jason Ferguson, Technicolor, Jack Getchman, Paisley, Gunnar Clovis, Mavis Likes Bugs, Trixie Best, No Yak Best, Olive, Knightley, SR Nano, Gator Kitty, Alex Kincaid, Dashy, A Kawaii Dragon, Keaton Cryer, Cascadiar, Bad Bessie, Damian, Booth Taste, Marshmallow, Madzia, Goose Dog, Chloe, Dayon Greenway, Icy, Jane Callahan, Jacob, Lucid Photon, Mohammed Mod 100, Pie Pie Puppy 360, Pixely Pupkit, Roberta Hogan, and Roswell. I can't think of a better outro, so until next time, goodbye.